Hello and welcome back to RoZ, the online sports vlog where I give my views on some of the biggest and not so big sports stories from the last few days. Before we get started, I must apologise. I haven't recorded one of these in quite a while. Slap on the wrist. That's because I've actually been looking for a new job. That's taken probably about 6 to 9 months, but it's all good. I have a new job and I'm all settled, and it means now I'm ready to dedicate a lot more of my time to recording these shows. So without further ado, let's get started with the latest sports stories from the last few days. So one of the reasons why I was really keen to start recording again was because at the start of this week, Sutton United played Arsenal in the FA Cup. Now, the reason why that was so important for me, or it certainly gave me a bit of a nostalgic feeling, was because I'm actually a local boy from Sutton, or I used to be, grew up in and around Sutton, and it was just really fascinating to see Arsenal, who is one of the clubs that is very close to my heart, play them in the FA Cup. So it brought back feelings of nostalgia. Now, forget the game, because let's be honest, it was quite an unforgettable game. Arsenal, as you probably know, won 2-0 with goals from Perez and Theo Walcott, who scored his 100th goal for Arsenal. But it wasn't a great game. Arsenal probably should have won that by about 4 or 5. And there weren't really too many talking points. But the main thing that came out of that was Piegate. Now, I'm sure you must have heard of this by now. Wayne Shaw, who was the reserve keeper for Sutton United, actually ate a pie halfway through the second half, which caused a whole load of uproar because it transpired after the game that he knew that there was a bet on that he would eat a pie at some point during the match. Now, there are a number of talking points around this, and I guess I've got my own opinions which I will go on. What I will first off start by saying is that let's look at this in the grand scheme of things. This is a lower league club which gets very little coverage in and around its own matches. They're playing in a huge game against one of the biggest clubs in England, if not the world. There's a lot of media attention. He's probably not going to get a game, and he's just having a bit of fun, okay? He was known as the roly-poly goalie, a title that he likes to bestow upon himself. And he's a big guy. I'm sure he'll be the first to admit that, and I'm sure he's probably heard that a lot. And it's quite funny because in a game that's known for the chant, "Who ate all the pies?" I'm sure Wayne Shaw has heard that once or twice. So it doesn't surprise me that was one of the reasons why the bet was placed, or certainly why the odds were given for Wayne to eat a pie. So look, it's a bit of fun. The club doesn't get much coverage. I'm sure this guy doesn't get a lot of coverage himself. He's spent a long career playing football. I mean, the guy's 45 years old. So if he's going to eat a pie, really, is it that big a deal? Although he did go against FA gambling rules, and it was all to do with the fact that he knew that the bet was being, that you could place a bet on him eating a pie. And it wasn't even a pie, it was a pasty. I mean, anyway, semantics. But my point is that let's look at some other quite serious betting instances in football. You've got the likes of, well, the first one that springs to mind is Joey Barton, who I'm sure many of you love and probably many of you hate. Joey Barton is renowned for being quite an outspoken character in football. He's under investigation, or, excuse me if by now everything's been put to bed, but I don't believe it has. Joey Barton's under investigation for recent gambling or betting infringements during his time at Rangers. That's one of the reasons why he was kicked out of the club, that and obviously his disagreements with the club, the hierarchy and some of the players. But this is a guy who, whilst playing, has put a bet on it doesn't matter if he's bet his team to win, to lose, other teams, whatever. The rules stipulate you cannot bet on the game if you play the game. Okay, understand that. Other instances in football, Michael Chopra, who had to be bailed out by his club at gambling addiction. Matthew Etherington, who also was bailed out by his club. He got into debts of 1.5 million. Keith Gillespie, another famous footballer, played for Manchester United, Newcastle United, played for Northern Ireland. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say Northern Ireland. You know, these are guys who, and apologies if it was the Republic of Ireland, I don't think it is. You know, these are guys who have got into serious gambling debts that have been detrimental to their team, their club, themselves, their families. These are serious issues in football. And these are things that I feel should be addressed more seriously than some goalkeeper who is having a bit of fun in a match. You know, the subs have been made. He wasn't coming on. It was a high-profile game. He was a reserve goalkeeper, and that's it. You know, but in these instances, in the other instances that I've mentioned, Barton or Chopra or Etherington or Gillespie, and there are other players as well. There is a serious gambling problem in football because these footballers, with all due respect to a lot of them, they have a lot of free time. And in that free time, they look for things to do. And one of the things that makes it easy, especially with the internet and smartphones and whatever, is to gamble. So those are more serious issues. And I really think that in this instance, Wayne Shaw probably should have been let off. If it was a marketing stunt, then you can kind of say, right, we'll let him off, or you know, we'll give him a slap on the wrist. But if we look at another marketing stunt, I'm sure many of you remember Nicholas Bentner, who was fined £80,000 for a pants stunt during Euro 2012, where he scored a goal and he pulled his pants down and it revealed a betting company on his pants. He got fined Michael Carrick, £80,000. Robbie Fowler, Wayne Shaw, Steven Gerrard resigned. He lost his job. James Milner, 45 years old, Kevin Phillips, and with all due respect to him, the state that he's in, Alan Shearer, and it will be highly unlikely that he'll play football again. He was the coach, the goalkeeping coach at Sutton United, so he may go back into coaching. But let's look at this in retrospect. You know, this is not a serious gambling issue. This is something that could have been resolved by a slap on the wrist and a telling off, and that was it. And now the guy's lost his job. Funnily enough, going on from that, this weekend Sutton United played Torquay United in the Vanarama National League, and their main goalkeeper, Ross Warner, got injured stretching for a ball that he pushed out for a corner, which meant they had no reserve goalkeeper. So one of their defenders went in, I believe it was Simon Downer. They actually won the match 3-2, but it just shows perhaps what goes around comes around. So Wayne Shaw, if you ever get a chance to watch Rose Ed, which hopefully you will, I just want to say I wish you the very best of luck in your career, and keep eating those pies, my man. Right, so the next topic I'd like to talk about is an issue in the world of boxing. Now, David Haye is facing Tony Bellew in a week's time. In a big fight, and what I want to talk about, the issue surrounding this, is David Haye's comment that he wants a physical barrier between him and Bellew in the run-up to their match. So whether that be at the next press conference or the next weigh-in, regardless. So this is absolutely ridiculous, okay? And before I carry on any further, I have to say, I've met David Haye. I've met him 3 or 4 times, and he is probably one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. He is an absolute gentleman, and he used to be a really big hero of mine. That's before he retired. He's come back, he's had a couple of matches, and whether he's doing it deliberately to create controversy, I don't know. But the last time they saw each other, there was a bit of a physical altercation, there was punches thrown, and now David Haye sort of had a go at Tony Bellew and some of his team. It's pathetic. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. And I understand that a lot of these fighters do it to create interest around their fights and whatever. It's not necessary. It's not. We've got two fighters here who are, I mean, looking at Tony Bellew, he's gone up two weight divisions to fight in this fight. You know, there are some quality fighters. You don't need these tactics. You look at someone like Anthony Joshua, who is just, in my opinion, and I'm sure in many boxing fans' opinions, one of the classiest guys in the game at the moment. And his opponent, Klitschko, he's fighting, I think, the 29th of April. You know, these aren't guys that need stunts or they need catchphrases or quotes or whatever, or controversy to build up these fights. These are two fighters who are just of the highest quality, and they go out there, they do their job, and they let their boxing do the talking. David Haye, since his return, just sounds like an absolute clown. I don't know why he's doing it to himself. And like I said, I like David Haye. David Haye as a person is brilliant. As a fighter, he's good. He's very, very good. Is he as good now as he was before he retired the first time? No, I don't think so. He's fought a couple of fighters who, in my opinion, yes, they may be in the top 20 in the world, but really don't do anything for him. He's nowhere near Anthony Joshua. I know that's his end goal, but he's nowhere near that. Tony Bellew, potentially. You know, he's a cruiserweight champion. He is a quality fighter. Both of these fighters are 28 wins, I think, in 30 or so matches. I think David Haye has fought 30 times and Bellew's fought 31. So they're very closely matched. David Haye is not a heavyweight. David Haye, is a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight at best. So he's come in, he's shooting his mouth off, he's making himself look like a bit of a fool. Don't get me wrong, he's backing it up in the ring, which is great, but David, just let your boxing do the talking, mate. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm looking forward to this fight. And if I had to choose anyone, it's close, but I would say Bellew. Now, one other issue I'd like to talk about in the world of boxing very, very quickly. They've recently announced a fight between Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. Now, this is a really, really weird one for me, and it doesn't make sense because, in my opinion, you've got two fighters here. One, Amir Khan, who, let's be honest, he hasn't exactly reached the dizzying heights that everyone thought he would when he first started his professional boxing career. His last fight, he got knocked out by Alvarez, and he's had a few fights where he's just really not been at his best. He's a talented fighter, don't get me wrong, but well, I'll get on to who I think he should be fighting in just a second. Then we've got Manny Pacquiao, probably one of the greatest boxers of all time, definitely pound for pound. This is a guy who's pushing 40. He retired, so there was no one else for him to fight. He came back, he came out of retirement, and yes, he won the world title in his weight class, but there's not that many out there that he can be fighting. I mean, he's fought everyone, and you know, we all know about the fight between him and Mayweather. It was a bit of a damp squib. These two fighters are facing off. Now, they're well known to be good friends. They're sparring partners. So there's no, and going back to the point I was making about Haye and Bellew, there's no controversy here. You know, what is it to get people excited in the fight? You've got a fighter who really is, I don't want to say past his best. I don't want to be disrespectful to Manny Pacquiao, but you know, he's not peak Pacquiao. He's not peak Pac-Man, okay? And we've got Amir Khan, who again is there anyone else he could be fighting? Yes, there is one fighter who everyone wants to see Amir Khan face, and that's Kell Brook. That is the fight that people want to see. That is the fight the boxing world should be seeing. Are they going to see it? I don't know. So in the meantime, we've got Amir Khan versus Manny Pacquiao that's been announced. So I'm not going to make any predictions for that just yet. Perhaps I'll cover that in a later episode. But yeah, it seems a bit of a strange one for me. Now, the next story is a really quick one, but I don't know if you've seen in the news this week that the MLS franchise, LA Galaxy, are actually holding open trials in the UK to see if they can find talent over here. I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea, and I think more clubs, certainly in the lesser leagues around the world, should definitely give it a go. As those of you that have followed the MLS in the last few seasons know, the talent has gotten better and better and better. And you know, not talking about the players who move there from other countries. Obviously, you've got your Beckhams and your Gerrards and your Keanes and Thierry Henrys, whatever. But it's really great to see an opportunity for footballers perhaps in this country who maybe the system hasn't been quite as good to them as some others. And it really gives them an opportunity to explore other parts of the world, which I think, not even just for footballers, but I think anyone who has the opportunity to go work abroad or live abroad should definitely take that at some stage in their lives. But they've got some great facilities over there, they've got some fantastic coaches, and it's an opportunity really for them to succeed in a sport they're obviously good at and obviously love, in a country, you know, with opportunities such as America. So hopefully other MLS franchises will repeat the opportunity, the trial process over here, and in other sports as well. You know, who knows? Perhaps there'll be opportunities in rugby or cricket or any other sport which is expanding across the world. So I really wish those that go the best of luck. I will put the address for sign-ups below, but those who are interested in going, it will be at the Hive in London, which I know well because that is the home ground of Barnet Football Club. Got some fantastic facilities there. So in London, it will be at the Hive on the 31st of May and the 1st of June 2017, and they'll also be up in Manchester on the 3rd and 4th of June. It's for players aged 16 to 25, and it will be £149 per person to attend. So anyone looking to try it out, I wish you the very best of luck. Now, my last story for this week revolves around an event which was announced a few weeks back. So this is kind of cheating in regards to the episode, but it's a really unique event which I thought I'd sort of share for those of you that weren't aware. It's a tournament called Icons of Football, and what it is, it's a Ryder Cup style golf tournament which involves all professional or ex-professional footballers. So it's over 3 days from the 23rd to the 25th of June 2017. It's going to be held at the Belfry, which is one of the most famous Ryder Cup golf courses in the world. I believe it's held 4 Ryder Cup tournaments, which I think is the most of any golf course around the world. And what it is, like I said, it's a Ryder Cup style golf tournament. So on one team, you've got all England footballers, and on the other team, you've got rest of the world footballers. And they'll play in a Ryder Cup style format over 3 days. Now, I just want to read out some, the list of players that are involved in this, because just the names are ridiculous. So the England team will be captained by Lee Westwood, who is obviously a professional golfer. And on the England team is Michael Carrick, Andy Cole, Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, Paul Ince, James Milner, Kevin Phillips, Paul Scholes, Alan Shearer and Teddy Sheringham. Okay, so the rest of the world team, they'll be captained by Darren Clark, and the players involved with them, Gabriel Batistuta, Patrick Berger, Ronald De Boer, Ryan Giggs, Pep Guardiola, Dirk Kuyt, Alessandro Del Piero, Peter Schmeichel, Andrei Shevchenko, Nemanja Vidic and Dwight York. And I believe they've got a couple of captain's wildcard picks on both sides as well. So just those names are unbelievable. And to see all of them in one place playing golf, I think is just a really exciting concept. So I think that's going to be something that I'll be looking at over the next few months, and certainly around the event itself. I will put the address for sign up. Perhaps those of you that are interested in tickets, I believe tickets are available. So do check it out if you haven't already. It just sounds like an unbelievable event, and one that I will be very, very excited to see. So that's it for this episode of Rosed. Thank you very much for joining me. Like I said, I really hope to be recording a lot more of these episodes in the very near future. If you've got any sports stories or anything you'd like to share with me, my Twitter handle is @AdamZoltie. I'd love to hear from you. And apart from that, don't forget to subscribe and like and tell your friends, really, because that's what this is all about. Sport brings people together, and hopefully this episode will be able to be shared with your friends as well. So subscribe, like, share. If you want to leave a comment, do feel free. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Rosed. Catch you soon.